I know that you want to touch on the media's role in this whole Integrity Commission issue with the head of the commission, the vice president of the commission, Zainal Hussain, who resigned. I know you want to touch on our role, but I just want to ask you, if you know, because we can't get hold of the president, so we have to speculate. Is it that if somebody of Jeffrey McFarlane's stature, would he have known that his appointment was in direct contravention to the stipulations of the Act, the Integrity in Public Life Act, or is that not an obvious thing?
Well, you know, the thing is, the law says so, but whether or not he actually examined the law to find out what is the requirement for someone who is going to be an office holder is another question. So it could be, in fairness to him, it could be that he never took it into account. But certainly the president must be aware of it. Certainly the president takes decisions in consultation with legal advice. And certainly if he has independent power in terms of the appointment of the Integrity Commission, he must be aware of the criteria for persons he's selecting.
He must, so he would have known.
Of course. And there's no excuse if he says he did not know. Because if there's a criteria, 5 O-levels, 2 A-level pass, they're just being arbitrary, that is a criteria for a job. The president must have before him what is the criteria. And one of the criteria is you cannot be in public life and be submitting to the Integrity Commission as one of the persons who is eligible to report and then become a member. So it is so obvious to him. And that's what worries me, is that an illegal appointment was made because it's wrong, contrary to the law, yet everybody sat by wondering whether or not he should resign. In fairness to McFarlane, he sits out, but only because, the point with the media is only because it was heavily ventilated in the media, and many legal practitioners came out to clear the air and were very strong and firm in their views as to what was taking place. And it would appear from public perception that it is only in those circumstances that he has now resigned. Nothing was done proactively by the office of the president to deal with it immediately. And that is a huge flaw. You cannot have the office of the president, and this is not appointing some small commission or some little body. By the way, the Integrity Commission, by its very name, integrity, connotes a high degree of transparency and credibility. And bear in mind, their powers are to examine people's assets, their means, their bank accounts, their balances, and make judgment as to whether or not they have breached integrity law, which, if referred to the Commissioner of Police, could result in criminal charges where people could face jail. So it is not a simple issue. It is a very, very serious issue. And in a society like ours, where there's a complete breakdown of all organizations, of the police, confidence, of the Minister of National Security, of the healthcare, you have this office that's supposed to just be above the rest. At least we have the confidence that at least the Integrity Commission ought not to be in the melee of everything else. Being so fundamentally flawed, what it does, it undermines your confidence completely. What I wonder is, what do teachers who are in secondary schools tell children who are asking questions about the conduct of the president and these? How do they justify this to young people? And you see, it comes back when one mirrors, well, if they could break the law and get away with it and no big deal, so what if I break a traffic light? So what if I steal a little something? It's the same thing. Integrity and honesty and being above board is the same, however you wish to call it. And it also brings about the issue that was revealed today in the Express about the chairman's plagiarism, which he has admitted to.
Well, I wanted to ask you what you think about that as well. Do you think that he said he mentioned it to the president? The president said, okay, it's a small thing.
The president can't, a small infraction. You have to look at it in the context. If I say I've plagiarized, and anybody who's a journalist or writing or has some university education understands the significance of plagiarism.
Very true.
Now, you say, well, I was in a rush, so I plagiarized, and I'm sorry about it. The president says... Twice. No big deal. What is the president sending the message to the public about? Because bear in mind, and let's draw for example Pandey's case. He says, my wife did this, she filled it out, I didn't pay attention to it, so I'm sorry. What's the difference with him saying, well, I plagiarized, I didn't have the time, I'm sorry, brush it aside? And he's going to be put in a position to judge people who may make mistakes, judge people who will have excuses. So if he's doing it and the president is saying it, that is okay. What message is he sending?
But wasn't that that was prior to his appointment?
Well, the point is the president, in assessing those who he has to appoint, must take these factors into account.
Sure.
If in fairness to the priest, goes and tells the president, listen, here's what something that could arise, I am addressing you, all credit to him. But the president, in his discretion, must look at that seriously. He must consider what is the implication of this and putting the man as chairman. Because you, the president, have the sole responsibility. You, the president, are charged with that responsibility, and you are now saying it's okay. So the president has made blunder after blunder, and it is just they're going to try to sweep it under the carpet. But when the head of state, who is deemed, although he's a political appointee, he's deemed to be independent and hold the interests of the country, is doing things that create grave concerns in the mind of the public. What do you leave for the ordinary man to say about his rights, or him feeling that he could ever get justice, or there's fairness? You undermine everything, and that is the frightening situation.